All right. I'm about to pull it up.
Sounds good.
Spokane. Oh, here we go.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you. And our last update for discussion before our council committee reports is an ordinance prohibiting the sale and distribution of kratom products in the city of Spokane. That's Adam McDaniel. I think you have a couple of guests with you too.
So council members, before I turn it over to them, this ordinance is basically just about protecting public health and safety. So what the ordinance would do is prohibit the sale and distribution of kratom in the city of Spokane. This is an emerging issue that we've been tracking a little bit now. And we're really grateful for the three experts behind me that have kind of brought this forward and made this recommendation. And thank you, Councilmember Dillon and Councilmember Zappone for sponsoring this ordinance. Councilmember Zappone, with your permission, I'm going to turn it over to these three, but just want to introduce them. Dr. Lutz has made presentations to this committee before. I know you know him well. I think he's just come in straight from street medicine, and thank you for doing that work. Sarah McNew serves as the coalition coordinator for the West Spokane Wellness Partnership and is an adjunct faculty member at EWU School of Social Work, where she teaches social welfare and social policy. And then Officer Mike Thomas from Spokane Police Department is a drug recognition expert and serves as SPD's impaired driving coordinator. So I'll let them present, and if there's any questions, we'll take them afterwards. Thanks.
I'm not quite as tall as Adam. So thank you, Council President, Council members, for giving consideration of this ordinance. So if you look at national data, it's not really overwhelming, unfortunately. You know, if you look at from 2021, it's estimated by a national survey that maybe only 1.2 million individuals over the age of 12 were using kratom. But I think more importantly, if we look at the retail data, if we look at those data, we see that it's estimated 11 to 20 million individuals are using kratom at least daily or annually, and that's probably an undercount. And if you look at the industry as a whole, it's estimated that right now in 2024 is a $1.5 billion industry that's expected to expand by about 17% every year to about $7.2 billion within the next decade. And so when you have a product that is unregulated, and as an unregulated product, we have concerns about substandard manufacturing, adulteration, and importantly, when you look at the fact that this substance has been identified to be mood altering, and of greatest concern is the fact that its mood alterations have opioid-like effects. What you'll hear from my colleagues today is that this unregulated substance that's readily available across our community, across the communities across the country, is a substance of great concern. And although in Washington State, we only have reported probably 35 deaths in 2024, arguably that's an undercount. Because unless you're specifically looking for kratom, you're not going to be capturing this on a toxicology screen. So this substance is being used uniformly by individuals who are using substances illicitly and licitly because it's readily available in vape shops, in grocery stores, and even in health food stores because it's, quote, a natural product. So with that.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for having us. Thank you for sponsoring this, Councilmember Dillon and Zappone. So kratom is it's been around for hundreds, thousands of years in Eastern Asia. It is used commonly for altering mood, but it's a plant. So people were using it, they were chewing on the leaves, taking it, just for whatever reason that they chose to take it. Unfortunately now in the United States, when it came into the United States, it was looked at being banned by the FDA and DEA. They decided not to do that. They wanted to find out more information about it. And unfortunately, it's now unregulated in most of the country. There are, I believe it's 7 states now that do have it regulated. There are many other states that have it regulation as far as who can purchase it, what age, regulations on, it being monitored as far as what's in it, if it's adulterated, things like that. So the two key ingredients in it that are of concern are the 7-hydroxymetragenine and metragenine. Those are two totally different substances. The metragenine acts more like a stimulant, so more like caffeine, whereas the 7-hydroxymetragenine acts more as an opiate. It works off the opioid receptors in the body, and therefore it's very attractive for those people who may be struggling with substance use disorder that are using an opioid or opiate, and maybe for whatever reason they can't get those opioids or opiates. Maybe they're in treatment, they're in probation, things like that. Maybe they're even trying to get medical assisted help in getting off of these products. They might switch to this because if they're doing any kind of UAs, most urinalysis will not look for the kratom unless specifically requested. There is the ability to look for it, but it's expensive and not everybody does it. So our evidence of harm, so the national data shows that before 2010, we had very limited use. And then between 2015 and 2018, we had a vast increase in the amount of exposures to kratom. And then in 2025, we're at 1,400 have shown actual harm from kratom alone or along with other substances. So there's also been some salmonella poisoning as well with this kratom because, again, this is unregulated. Nobody is checking on the quality that is coming into the United States or being manufactured in the United States. There's 199 illnesses and 54 hospitalizations. There's also heavy metal exposure. There is some wrongful deaths and liability lawsuits to the cities and states. So in Cowlitz County, there was a wrongful death lawsuit awarded $2.5 million to a family man who died after using kratom products. And the cause of the death was toxic effect from metragenine kratom. So why is this a public health concern? Well, as we know, as we end up getting fentanyl off of the street, we end up getting lower supply of fentanyl, people are going to choose other things. And those things might be those things that they can get legally or that are non-regulated. One of those would be kratom. That's of great concern. It's also of concern because there is no regulation on who these products are sold to. So you have people, our youth going into these shops purchasing this stuff, and we also know that that's kind of a gateway. It starts in that substance use, triggering that substance use, which might also turn them into using other substances. That's why it's of huge concern to us. They're also using it for self-medication. When somebody is using this, they may not think of it as a substance that is mind-altering, so they might not disclose it to a provider, their doctor, when they go into deal with whether it's physical ailments or if they're struggling with some kind of mental condition. They may not talk about it at all with their doctor. So their providers may not be treating what they believe is there because even in the hospitals, they are not testing for kratom. So if somebody goes into a hospital, the provider may not know that this person's using kratom. Unless they self-admit that they are using kratom, then that can be a discussion. But most likely that is not happening, and that's not happening with adults or our youth. These products are also sold at places like coffee stands. So if you go into a coffee stand, somebody could ask you, how many shots of espresso you would like, but some of these coffee stands also ask you if you'd like kratom. Now, we talked about that the kratom, the 7-hydroxymetragenine, acts like an opioid or opiate. It relaxes you, but the metragenine itself acts as a stimulant, so that's why a lot of the coffee shops are selling it. But it also, if you're using it in larger amounts, you might start to get those effects, that euphoria that is common with the opioid opiates. most of these products have misleading marketing. They'll tell you that they do everything from making you feel better, relax, to stimulating you. And a lot of the kids or youth that are going to schools might see that like, hey, I could do better on a test if I take this. So it's marketing to those kids or youth, saying that this might help them study or stay awake, things like that. Naloxone may not be effective on this as well. This stuff is adulterated with other products, not just metragenine. So here's some of their marketing. You see it says, find your calm on 07 Relax tablets. All of these different things have the same product in it, but it tells you it does different things. And some of the problem with that is that you don't know what's in this. Because it is not regulated, they're adding synthetics to it as well. They're putting other synthetic products in here, including, I believe it is on the next slide. Oh, no, it's not. They're adding the pseudo dioxyl, and that is actually not even for human consumption. It's a alkaloid of the metragenine, and they're putting it in these products to try to make it different from their competitors. So I will turn it over to Sarah.
Hello, thank you. I want to reference up here on the slide that 7 states have now banned kratom, and that's soon to be 8 with Utah soon to pass. And the purple states, which is now around 15, are those with KCPA regulation, which is Kratom Consumer Protection Acts. And so what that is the regulation of kratom products, whether it's through the content that is in the kratom, the sell and distribution, and or age of 18 and or 21. The green is cities and counties that have full bans on kratom and or regulations related to age. In Washington State, we have tried through Senate Bill 5941 in 2022. This was a proposed Kratom Consumer Protection Act, which did not become a law. SB 5743 in 2022, this was a bill to classify kratom as a controlled substance. To date, it is still not classified as a controlled substance. We would be the first city and county in Washington State to have any sort of regulation on kratom if this passes. And so we want to urge the city of Spokane to prohibit the sale of kratom to protect public health and prevent youth exposure. We want to ban the sale and distribution of kratom products via a new chapter 10.83 to the Spokane Municipal Code. Penalties include civil fines escalating with repeat offenses. Business impact on licenses can be denied and or revoked. Right now, as you can see, these products are being marketed all throughout the community to youth. This is a billboard directly kitty-corner to North Central High School, and youth have access to walk in and buy kratom right off the shelves because it is not regulated, because it is not defined as a controlled substance. Therefore, we have retailers who can sell and distribute these products when historically we would want medical providers and or pharmacists to prescribe and administer these substances, but instead we have gas stations where youth can walk in and get these. And so we are asking for you to pass this ordinance and adopt this new chapter. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Council President
Just a
and
quick
Councilman
comment. I
Cathcart.
recently met with the Spokane Poison Control. I had not heard of this product before, and they took me down a rabbit hole, especially how it's impacting students at the high school level and the unregulated. So do you know where most of this comes, or it just comes from various destinations into our country? Is there a pipeline, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, most of this product is brought in from China. Most of it's brought in through China and distributed that way. But you can order this stuff online, and a lot of the retailers get it online as well.
So just a quick follow-up on that. So my concern would be we could do this, but like many things we banned in the city, it just pushes it out to the other municipalities. So any conversations with other municipalities around a similar ban, a more coordinated effort?
Not any conversations specifically with other municipalities, but we have shared it with the health district. We've shared it with the Greater Spokane Substance Abuse Council. So some of those other advocates can certainly work with those other municipalities.
Councilman Cathcart.
Yeah, thank you guys very much for the information. Really appreciate it. I would love to see some more, I think, scientific data backing up just the negative side of kratom. As I've done just poking around a little bit of research, it seems that in many ways this is really used as harm reduction. And what frustrates me is sitting up here getting lectured saying we need to hand out glass pipes to users on the street, but we're going to ban kratom that's used for harm reduction. So I'm very challenged by this. I would love to see more data about deaths, health impacts, those sorts of things, but I'm not quite there on banning it.
No, thank you, Councilmember Cathcart. I think one of the challenges we have is, as we sort of alluded to, this is an unregulated product. And so as such, it's been readily available and getting access to those data, for example, deaths. There's no national database on deaths. So whereas I have databases on opioids, on meth, on other illicit substances, there's no such database. There's no coordinated effort nationally. So I certainly appreciate your concerns about harm reduction, and this does seem sort of antithetical. At the same time, we also know that kratom is an addictive substance, and we actually have a diagnosis of kratom substance use disorder of people who have started down this path and maybe started using it in lieu of an opioid, but find themselves now having abuse disorder from kratom. And it has many, many effects. So I think that, to your point, we can provide research on the health effects of it, but I think with respect to deaths, we're going to be greatly challenged for the reasons I mentioned.
If I could I'll just read this really quick.
Yes, sir.
That I found. So a Malaysian kratom study evaluated people with, I'm not even sure how to say this word, concomitant opioid and stimulant use. I think it's co-occurring, essentially, opioid and stimulant use disorders. Most reported using kratom to treat heroin withdrawal as a heroin replacement and to reduce heroin intake, 58%. Independent of how long they use kratom. Only 15% reported consuming kratom for euphoric effects, and the study supports traditional kratom use as an OUD harm reduction strategy versus using to obtain euphoric effects. For alcohol use disorder, a study in the United States said that, conducted with support from the American Kratom Association, so take that as you will, studied 3,000 current and past kratom users. Of those currently using kratom, acknowledged mainly using kratom to reduce or quit alcohol consumption. 18% included it among multiple reasons for using kratom. And I have seen that it is addictive. I mean, I think many things are obviously addictive too. So, but I would like to better understand those impacts, because I'm somebody who's very interested in finding other ways to stop the fentanyl abuse on the street. And I know that psilocybin, for example, is one such thing that has been used and experimented with as a way to try to find another strategy to kill the fentanyl abuse. And I'm worried that as we ban things, take that step, that we take away an opportunity to study something that might truly be very beneficial. And so that's my biggest concern. If this was simply, let's make it 18 or 21, I'd be in a heartbeat. But to ban it is where I'm a little hung up.
Okay, and I guess my one final comment to you, Council Member, is that noting that the FDA is looking right now at making 7-hydroxy, putting it under controlled substance, the same way it would actually classify it in the same category of drugs like heroin, where there is no identified medical benefit. And so when you have the FDA looking to regulate this because of concerns, acknowledging that we do not have great data, but the data are somewhat compelling from the standpoint that this can be and is an addictive substance and has no medical benefits. So I think for me and for us, seeing that is in and of itself of concern. You have an unregulated product that we know people are dying from, that yes, they may be using it in lieu of, but they're also using it in conjunction with. And so those individual deaths are not due to kratom per se, but due to kratom plus. And it has a compounding effect at higher levels such that it binds to that opioid receptor. So we will provide more data for you, but again, we just really appreciate the interest in this ordinance, so thank you.
And I appreciate that. One very quick, cannabis, is that not also in the same schedule at the federal level, that there's no medical benefit?
At the federal level, yes, sir.
Right.
Councilmember Tellis.
Yeah, Dr. Lynch, do you have the timeline for the FDA to be regulating this drug?
Not as of yet, Councilmember, no. They came out with the notice earlier this year, and then as of July, they put out a notice to consumers and to providers about they're evaluating it and looking at it, regulating it as a controlled substance, but right now we have no timeline for that.
It could be years.
Councilmember Dillon.
Yeah, just want to thank you all for being here, and thanks for the information and the summary. I mean, I agree. I think that with Kratom, it's the Wild West. I mean, there's just so much that really is unknown, as you pointed out. I mean, that market, I've heard complaints and concerns about how this is specifically marketed at youth, and just knowing so much about what is not in it. And then looking at the map too about other cities that have taken measures to regulate or ban these, I think that this really puts Spokane at the forefront and is consistent with a lot of our recent investments and support in public health and public safety that I think will turn around and have real positive effects. So just thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. And then that brings us to our staff reports and committee updates, if Jackson can pull that up. Council Member Cathcart, I don't know if you had anything that you want to update us on that's happening at the health department, or if anyone wants to share information.
Yeah, real quick, I'm on the transition committee right now as we look for a new administrative officer. We've reviewed some RFPs on a firm to try to find some candidates for us for that position. We'll be voting on a
I think you can end it from here.
recommendation at our board meeting in this week or
I
next.
was just about to ask.
We're also looking at approving our legislative agenda.
I didn't finish it all yesterday.
As well as
Let me stop sharing.
potentially for the first time a
Sorry, I'm doing
federal
like-
agenda. It's very short, but
Wait till- okay, here we go.
Yeah, Bunny. Yeah, the whole marketed at youth argument is the whole, what they say is the packaging and bright colors, glitter packages, stuff like that. That's what they be talking
the
about.
whole they market it for kids to stay awake and do better on tests. Like, I've never heard that shit in my life, dude.
I haven't either. I mean,
I think like a lot of this stuff was just made up.
I don't know. It's like they didn't even sound confident on what they were saying.
No. But
know,
I mean, I will say at least that one council member was the only one that has any critical thinking.
Yeah, Cathcart.
Yeah.
Yep. We need to get him. They need Laura's educational seminar that she does with our lovely Dr. Heidi and John Shinholzer. It is
Amazing.
such an amazing seminar.
Like I wish every city council could get that educational seminar before they even convene. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I'm telling you guys, we have not been like religiously posting up on our social medias because we are so inundated with hearings behind the scenes. It's pretty much like 3 hearings a day now.
Yeah.
That's what it averages out to be, about 3 to 4 hearings a day. Sometimes they're happening simultaneously, and we're like, I got 1 hearing playing on the computer, 1 on my phone, and 1 on my backup phone. It's so chaotic.
Yeah, it's rough. But, I don't know if you notice the ticker down here. If anybody wants to get more involved, legislative season's coming up, January.
Yep.
And it's going to be crazy. We're going to need all the help we can get. It's bad now, but I have a feeling it's going to be even worse.
Yeah, it will be. It will be.
The fallout from 7OH is what it is. We're
This
finally
is us.
Yeah.
This is us mopping up the 7OH mess.
And it's just begun.
And it's just begun. Yeah, for sure. Because this time last year, we did not attend hearings like this. I always say this, that normally we're just busy from like January to about June, July. And then after that, we're just, coasting along, just doing whatever, taking a freaking break. But no, Not this year. This year has been, ever since July when I came back from Champs, it has been hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing.
It was after that FDA announcement. And I
Mhm.
don't, I don't blame that. I blame somebody needed to say something. Somebody needs to educate the difference between the two. I
Mhm.
still, I'm not disagreeing with what the FDA did at all, but
I don't agree with Schedule 1ing it.
no,
I've
no,
always said that, and motherfuckers want to keep putting that shit in my mouth. Go right ahead,
yeah,
But I don't agree with the Schedule 1, but something needed to be done because it
exactly.
is out of control.
And I mean, I am going to advocate for plain leaf kratom because that's what I take. That's what saved me. I'm not going to go and, you know,
Yeah,
advocate for 7OH to not be scheduled. That's like, it's not going to happen. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, if I have to choose, it's going to be kratom every time.
we've had to choose. That's why we're doing what we're
Yep.
doing. If kratom is on the chopping block because of 7OH and 7OH got to go, it got to go.
Yep.
It's not my job to advocate for you 7OH users. And I don't fall in with that bullshit ass line that we are all kratom. No, the fuck we are
No,
not.
no, 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 no. We are not all kratom. Kratom is kratom, and 7OH is 7OH.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah, we are going to be, well, I don't know if we're not going to stream that thing later today, are we?
No, we'll just record it and then we'll post up later. Don't say where it's at though.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. But it's going to be, I hope it's going to be cool.
Yeah. I
Be
hope
on
so
the
too.
lookout maybe for something cool.
Yeah.
I don't, it's like one of those things I don't want to jinx. I'm just not going to say anything. Uh,
Okay.
all right.
Yep.
But
Thank
yeah,
you for watching. We will download this and then we'll post it up on our social medias, so that people know what's happening in Washington right now. And it's starting with Spokane. So we need y'all. We need y'all. I don't care what state you live in. Like Jen said, look at the ticker on the bottom. Email Laura your name, city, and state.
yep.
Laura
And that's the
at
first step.
plantandpearls.org.
Yep. But we need all the help we can get.
Yep, because this is ridiculous.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all next time. Bye, Bunny.
Bye, everybody.